Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever day, time of the year it is at your end, and welcome back to the highly unpredictable live stream, which keeps changing days, keeps changing times. It's still definitely every 2 weeks, but this week, I'll explain why in a moment, but this week again is another week where I had to shift it, I'm afraid, because there was so much going on and I physically wasn't in this studio last night to do it. We've had to move the podcast recording as well. So my weeks are increasingly unpredictable. So this may happen again, who knows? Apologies. It's going to be fascinating to see how many people come on to this live stream, given that it is now 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the UK, so it's very early in the US. It's even earlier in other places and even later in other places of the world, so we'll see what happens. But if you are joining me, and I can see people are coming online now, hello. It's been, like I say, a crazy week. So it started off, where did it start? It's been one of those weeks where it's hard to remember, it's hard to think back to what I did 3 or 4 days ago, but it's been one of those weeks where I've been out and about quite a bit. So it started off in the studio. I actually started in the studio doing some filming and stuff in here, and then on Tuesday, let me get this right, was it Tuesday? I'm going to have to check my calendar. It's been that crazy. Was it Tuesday? Let's have a look. Yes, so Tuesday I went to a VR company just down the road from, I say down the road, about 30 minutes from where the studio is, to show them Vision Pro. I met a guy from this company about a month and a half ago, and found out that his boss was very reluctant to invest in Vision Pro until it comes over here. He didn't want to do what I did and import it into the country. He thought that was going to be madness, and it is. But let me just stop that vibrating. S24 Ultra, I have switched just to prove. So I met this guy and he said, look, we do VR stuff. We've been doing VR stuff for 7 or 8 years, but the boss needs convincing about Vision Pro. Could we do something together about this? And immediately I just thought, that's a video. That's definitely a video idea. So I headed to this place not far from here and took Vision Pro with me and did this kind of on-site, it was like a hands-on for these guys, this boss and also a bunch of the other people that work there, and filmed their reactions. And I won't give anything away because we are going to use this video at some point, but it was absolutely fascinating, bearing in mind these are people who really know what they're talking about when it comes to VR. Getting their reaction, particularly that boss who was not sure about it at all, didn't want to be filmed really either, but he did. He played ball and got on with it. It was really interesting. But anyway, that was on Tuesday, and then I went down to London pretty much immediately after that for 2 days of, nearly 3 days of time in the capital. And the reasons for that, I'm sorry, I hate saying this, but I can't reveal why, because the 2 things that I went for are embargoed for the next couple of weeks. So it will become clear what I was doing down there quite soon. One of the reasons I was down there, which was yesterday, the particular meeting yesterday, relates to a very big trip that I'm going on towards the end of this month. I'm waiting for a visa to come back, but fingers crossed it should all be fine. Again, all of this will be revealed, but it's been one of those weeks where I've just been out. I've been out and about doing all sorts of different things. The great thing about this, if you've been following my journey over the last year or so, you'll know that I've been building a team slowly. And the great thing about weeks like this now, even though it's flat out for me, and I don't like being away too much from the studio and obviously from my family, I do have a team that's picking up everything else, so that they're doing all of the hard work behind the scenes that you don't see, all of the brand partnership stuff and a lot of the production work behind the scenes and the publishing. All that gets done for me now. It's amazing, and they do such a good job, a much better job than I can ever do, and I can just crack on with being out there doing stuff, which was the whole point of this team that I'm building. So it's very exciting times. It's very busy times. It's been a weird month, not a weird month. It's been a typical April month for for tech, it's been okay-ish. I mean, there's not been much going on in terms of new releases. Obviously, we were expecting iPads, but nothing happened. So it's been again a typical April, really. April every year since I started doing this has always been a bit kind of okay. Views go down, revenue goes down a bit. I say revenue, AdSense revenue goes down. And it's the same for everyone. It's just that end of Q1, start of Q2 thing where it's, you know, everyone's getting their budgets back in place and what have you. But we are heading into a pretty busy period, and that's starting to show in terms of the things that I've been doing outside of this studio and things that I'm doing over the next few weeks. So it's been one of those weeks, and again, that's just one long excuse why this. I was going to say why this live stream is happening now and potentially not going to be seen by as many people, but we've got 11 people on now at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon in the UK, which is amazing. So thank you for joining me. I've not checked your comments yet. Put all of your questions. This is going to be definitely a Q&A episode. Stick all of your questions into there while I'm waffling on, and I will come to them in a second. The other thing I want to talk about, I've put this phone in my pocket. I don't know why. It's really uncomfortable, as much as I love it. The other thing that I want to talk about is the vlog. So if you've been tuning in over the last couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I think it is now. Maybe it might even be a month. It's been quite a while. We've been publishing not daily vlogs, but very regular vlogs, and these are me walking around, doing my normal day. I'm not staging anything. This is just it's what I do each day. And just capturing it, basically, and turning the camera on when I feel there's something interesting happening and talking into it. We are loving making these, by the way, and it is a team effort between myself and Niall, because Niall being my general manager, but also a very big part of the editing part of this business. We love it because it's just a lot of fun, and it's so different to the main videos that we make for Mark Ellis Reviews. And we think we've hit on something. We think we've found something that appears to work, that appears to draw in an audience. And it's not a massive audience, but it's a consistent audience. And more importantly, it's an audience that engages and asks questions and has suggestions for things and seems to enjoy it. Now, I find this incredibly weird because I watch other people vlogging. So I watch other channels that have their own vlogging thing, and I love watching them. But as the viewer, you don't get to see what's going on while that vlog is being filmed. And I do that now, obviously. So I've been making these vlogs, and the most fascinating thing about it for me is that it always feels like I'm boring people to tears with my day, because even though this is a very cool job, and I wouldn't swap it for the world, it's genuinely interesting. There are certain days when not a huge amount happens, or not enough happens seemingly to tell a story about. You know, it might literally just be me waking up in the morning, making a cup of coffee, doing some writing at home, then driving to the studio, doing some filming here, going to the gym, doing a workout, coming back here and doing more stuff in the studio, and then going home. To me, that doesn't sound like much of a YouTube video, but several episodes have been like that. It's just been me doing that and talking about things throughout the day, and people seem to like it. I'm sure a lot of people don't like it, but that's fine. You know, we're kind of niching down and finding the right audience. But it's bizarre that people seem to be enjoying it. And we're seeing that reflected in the watch time, in the average view duration, AVD, in the views, in the subscribers. Everything's picking up, you know, and we're hurtling towards partnership, partner program territory now as well. So we can have AdSense added to that channel fairly soon as well, which is amazing. And it's all just me walking around talking into a camera. And if you're wondering how we're doing this, none of it is scripted, obviously, as you can tell, but equally none of it is planned. I literally wake up in the morning and think, I'll do the vlog today. I don't think, right, and that means I need to do this. I just start from there. I just decide to start doing the vlog. There are certain days when it makes sense to. So for this week, for instance, because I had those 3, I think, pretty interesting days, both taking the Vision Pro thing and then going to London for a couple of days. That is interesting. There's a bit of travel involved. There's different environments to this studio, and it's just, it's more interesting. But if you're, like I say, if you're interested in how we're filming this, it's so simple. And this is the key. I wrote about this recently on Substack, that the key to making this work, and I think the key to making any vlogging strategy work and stick, more importantly, and to make it relatable, is the gear that you use. Gear does matter with this, but not for the reason that you think. What you don't need to do is walk around with a camera like this. And I've done this. I've walked around with most vlogging setups, and I can tell you straight away, it makes no difference how expensive it goes and how big it goes. It just gets worse. The more money you spend, the bigger the camera that you take out with you, the more expensive it is anyway, but also the harder it is to film, the more self-conscious you'll feel because you've got this great big camera with a massive mic attached to it. It's the wrong way to do it. Whereas if instead you use your smartphone, for instance, or you do what I'm doing and just use this. Again, I've talked about this quite a lot on these live streams. This is just an action cam. It's the DJI Osmo Action 4. You could use, there's so many different action cams that you can get out there, GoPros, etc., Insta360, there's loads. But it's just that. And the key thing with this is that 98% of the time, I'm just using this alone. There's no mic, there's no lav mic, it's just everything comes out of this, the picture, the audio, the lot basically. The only exception to that is in the car, because we have had a few issues where the audio in the car from this can be a bit challenging to work with. If it's raining, if there's a lot of road noise and rumble going on, it's just not the best. So we have made an exception, and this was definitely an exception because I want to keep this gear pared down for these vlogs. So we have made an exception to the rule in the car, which is to use the DJI mic, which is this incredibly handy thing that you just clip to yourself. It's got built-in storage. Once you're done, you connect it via USB-C to your computer, transfer the file across, done. That gets rid of the issues in the car. But like I say, 98% of the time, it's just this. And the battery is so good on this as well. And you get technically two other batteries in here that can be charged at all times. It's waterproof, it's rugged because it's an action cam. And it's also inconspicuous. I mean, this is tiny. If I'm walking around the street doing this, okay, I'm still doing something a bit weird and people do still occasionally notice you, but who cares? But it's far less conspicuous than this thing I'm talking into now. It's a very little thing. You can whip it out, you can talk to yourself, you can film the environment, and you don't look weird. That's the main thing. But the key thing with all of this is that the audience doesn't care. As long as they can see the story in one way, shape or another, and more importantly, hear you, and then even more importantly than that, the story itself is interesting, it's fine. It works brilliantly. It's so easy to make. The editing I don't do. I mean, I'd have to get Niall on here to explain exactly how he does it and how he finds it, although we've spoken about this at length, and I've said to him, look, we need this to be basically no friction, as simple as possible. Chuck it into your editor. He uses Adobe Premiere. He's not a Final Cut Pro user, but I keep telling him. He's gone down the Mac route finally, though, so he's gone from Windows to Mac, so we are getting there. I digress. He chucks it into Premiere and just pretty much does a bit of top and tailing here and there, a bit of work on the audio, and exports it, and then imports it, uploads it into YouTube. Done. Quick thumbnail, very quick description, bosh, as they say. And it works, and it seems to be working. And as I keep saying in the vlog, the more you guys watch it, the more you give us feedback, the more, if you like it, that you physically like it on YouTube and subscribe and tell your mates and all that sort of stuff, the more impetus it gives us to carry on with this. Now, there is a business reality to this, which is that it's still taking time. So even though I've just explained that it's very easy, it still takes time. So even though I'm working it into my day, I'm still having to think about it. And there are times when I have a vlogging day where I'm spending time just on the vlog, because I might take time to explain what I'm doing, or to show a piece of kit that I'm using, or to talk about somewhere that I am. If I wasn't doing the vlog, I wouldn't be spending that time on that. I'd be spending time on other stuff. So I have to make sure that this vlog eventually starts to make some money and starts to bring in, becomes a revenue generator for this business. Niall's time. He's probably spending more time than I am editing it, because the filming is just, it's little clips throughout the day. He's spending an amount of time on the edit. Again, not a huge amount of time, but we have to take that into account as a business. So as you would expect, and I know you guys understand this, there's a monetary element to this. It has to be profitable at some stage. It is not at the moment. This entire channel is bootstrapped by the Marcos Reviews brand, which is fine for the time being, but it has to start making some money at some stage, which is why it's lovely that we're getting towards AdSense, even though that's not going to make us millionaires. But equally, the bigger the channel gets, the more likely brands will pick up on it and help us out a bit in terms of sponsorships and that sort of stuff. So providing that happens, providing we get there, and the numbers look good. We had a meeting about this the other day, and the numbers look really exciting. They're still very small compared to what happens on the other channel, but that's understandable. This is a very small channel by comparison. But yeah, we're loving it. So that's how we're filming it. That's what we're doing. If you've been watching the vlogs, thank you. Keep watching them if you can. They're long. 20. I think one of them was 32 minutes, 35 minutes long. And the average view duration is really positive. So if you've been sitting through the entire episodes, thank you. That's amazing. Right, we've got a lot of people on today. This time has worked. 3 o'clock has worked as well. Interesting. I might have to keep that in mind. Right, let's come to your comments. I say your comments, your questions. Hit me with questions. David says, hi, welcome back from the big smoke. That's London, obviously. I did make a mistake in my I think it was the last vlog or the one before that, where I'm pointing out things in the London skyline, and I pointed to Tower Bridge and said that's London Bridge. I think I referred to it twice incorrectly, actually. It wasn't, it's Tower Bridge. So I do know London. I for whatever reason, I didn't recognise Tower Bridge as being Tower Bridge. I thought, who cares? Thank you. Great couple of days in London. Really enjoyed it. Martin, greetings from Dusseldorf. That's interesting. Dusseldorf. I won't say anything else, but maybe something's happening there at some point. Who knows? Kevin's in Florida still. When are you going to invite me over, Kevin? Hi, Travis. Hi, John. Loads of people. What's this? Someone's saying thanks. Let's put this on the screen. Just wanted to say thanks for all you're doing. These creator blogs have been so helpful in seeing the future I'm looking for as a content creator. So thanks. Happy to help, John. I assume by blogs you mean the vlogs, hopefully, possibly. Yeah, it's warts and all. I mean, I think that, again, I forget what happens in each of these vlogs, and you guys, whoever's watching it will know better than me, but there's been a lot of kind of there's a lot of honesty in there in terms of how bad I'm doing with certain things each day. So A-roll filming has been a horrendous thing recently, although today, no problem. I did two short form pieces of A-roll, and also a long form video for this weekend, and no issues. A few small issues, normal issues, but no constant retakes again and again and again. That's where the vlog has been quite helpful, actually, because it's made me realise that. But it's almost like I treat it a bit like a diary. It's a bit like like journaling. I'm getting these things out of my head, and then it helps process it. And but yeah, I've been very honest in these. So if you're interested in getting into this industry, one thing I really hope these vlogs show is what this is all about. What we get up to, because as the audience, you and me, for other the people that I watch, you only see the end result. You only see that file that has been exported from a video editor. That's the thing that you see on the screen. And okay, you might see social posts on Instagram and X and all that sort of stuff, but you don't see what happens day to day. And going back to the kind of the mundane nature of a lot of this, that in itself is a story, because not that much happens. A lot of this stuff is editing. It's sitting there and talking to yourself. It's dealing with, it's having team meetings. It's dealing with your email. It's sending bank statements to your bookkeeper. It's not anything particularly exciting. Occasionally, some really exciting things happen, and that's what I want to capture as well. But I just hope it gives it a real insight into what creator life is all about, and what because these businesses aren't for everyone. I know from the outside, and I used to think this. I used to think these YouTubers who are doing it full time, they must skip out of bed. They must be so happy all of the time. That isn't the case. And I think hopefully you can see that in these vlogs. And I'm not suggesting we're like working down the coal mines or anything like that at all, but it's really hard work, and you get a lot done in a day. Well, you have to get a lot done in a day if you want to be successful and build a proper business out of it. So I hope that's kind of coming across in these vlogs. Hi Alan, hi Luxury, loads of familiar faces here. Back to John. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the ideal return on investment when putting in effort on a video. On my channel, I found that 80% of effort gets roughly the same retention as 100% effort. Depends what you mean by effort. I think what's more important is where you're placing that effort. To be honest, if you can put 80% of the effort in and get the same retention on a video as putting 100% effort in, great, do it. Good enough is a thing that I used to get stick for this occasionally in my previous job, where I would say to the people that were doing stuff in our team, that's good enough. I remember one guy that who I used to manage, he used to say, oh, that's typical for this business. We're always saying it's just good enough. Well, sometimes good enough is absolutely fine because it gets through, it works, the numbers keep going up, happy days. So 80% of effort, great, that works. But I think it is very important where you're putting that effort into. And that's something I'm working on a lot in this business, in terms of where I'm investing my effort. And I've removed a lot of the things that I was putting a lot of effort into, which I thought were having a big impact on video production and video performance that I didn't need to be doing. Things like having the right affiliate links in a description, or when it came to blogging, I thought me importing stuff into WordPress and then fiddling around with it and then importing it into Medium and doing all that was having an impact on the revenue of those blog posts, because I knew what I was doing. Rubbish. I got rid of that in terms of giving it to someone else, and they do it, and they do a better job of it. So it depends very much in terms of where you're putting that effort, John, if that makes sense. But yeah, if you can put 80% of your time into something and still see the same results, happy days. David, success is a journey, not a destination. Absolutely. I like watching where you go and what you do. Yeah, I mean, there is no destination. I see a lot of people say this kind of thing, and it's totally true. But equally, there is no I'm not sure what the destination is as running a content business, or any business really, unless your goal is to sell it at some stage, or that's generally where it stops, isn't it? But I don't have that. To be completely clear, I do not have any thoughts about selling this business. I want to do this for as long as I can. But yeah, the journey is interesting. That is interesting. Maybe that's the thing that's interesting. Maybe it is. Travis, can the DJI mic not link directly to the action cam? Seems like a missed opportunity. That's a really good question. Can it? I don't think, or can it? Maybe it can. I'm not going to say yes or no because I don't want to get it wrong on record. I've never done that. That said, you don't really need to, because this is always recording audio. So if you're filming with this for video and with this for audio, you just chuck the two files into Final Cut Pro or whatever editing software you're using and sync them both up. And these days, every video editor syncs it like that. So you've got no hassles really. But I know what you mean. There are some strange decisions that DJI make, excuse me, occasionally, which don't seem to make a huge amount of sense. But as a package, as a little thing to carry around, I mean, these aren't very heavy. They're very small, as you can see. It's such a powerful setup that, in terms of the quality, and also the fact that you can just take the stuff that comes off these pretty much and just publish them. You might want to fiddle around with the audio a little bit, but not much. It's very good. That's how it should be. While watching these vlogs, I've never once felt like I wish the audio was better. The audio out of the camera is plenty good enough. I think, like I say, John, 98% of the time it is absolutely fine. In fact, it's really good. It's really impressive. It just struggles a little bit in certain environments. The biggest problem we had, I think, was when it was raining in the car, I think, and the rain was hitting the windscreen. and I think what the camera was doing was trying to cancel out that noise. And whenever noise cancellation kicks in on a device like this, or a shotgun mic or whatever, it tends to ruin the audio because it removes all of the dynamics and it gets quieter and harder to pick out. But maybe that's just me, and maybe it's Niall. We're both being perfectionists with that. I don't know, but it's nice to hear that anyway. David, what is the ring on your index finger? So this is the Ultra Human ring, which, can you see it? There we go. Which is a health tracking device. So I'm reviewing this at the moment. The review itself won't hit the other channel for about 3 months because I want to spend some time with it. But yeah, this tracks your. It's a good job I've got it on the right finger there, isn't it? This tracks your body temperature, skin temperature rather. What else? Heart rate, all that stuff, and various other bits and pieces. Yeah, see, I won't say anything because I'm reviewing it as I speak, but I've got lots of things attached to me. So I've got obviously a watch, but I've got Whoop, and I've got the Ultra Human Air. So yeah, a very interesting device. Let's keep going down. Lots of people online. This is nice. I thought this was going to be dead. I didn't think. I thought I'd be sitting here on my own talking to myself, which happens a lot. I'm used to that. But no, I'm really glad that you're coming on. Here we go. Luxury. Your blog posts on Substack and other platforms are awesome. Thank you. Have you ever thought about tinkering with them slightly to fix better towards the X platform? I feel they would do really well. I suppose what you're talking about here is repurposing those blog posts and the Substack newsletters, which I send out every Friday. If you haven't joined that list, by the way, guys, there's a link down below. Repurposing that stuff for X. I have thought about it. I mean, the strategy for X in this business isn't very clear because there isn't one really. I just post stuff on there occasionally. But we could potentially put more effort into it. It comes back to that effort thing, really. How worth it is it to put more effort into X? At the moment, I don't think there's a huge amount of reason to do so. I don't think. We have other areas that we want to put more effort into. Instagram is one of those. The reason for that is because brands are very interested in big Instagram accounts. If you've got 20k plus on Instagram, you can get some pretty good brand deals, which is what a lot of this is about. Obviously, that's what keeps the lights on, what keeps growing this business. I've got 3.5k, I think, now on Instagram. It's been a really slow growth process on there, but I know that what can come as a result of having a bigger following on there. So I'd much rather put time and money into that. Because this would require time and money, obviously. I haven't got the time to repurpose those posts for that platform, so I'd have to get someone else to do it. I do have someone who could do that, but then do I want to use his time for that? These are all the things that I have to think about with this stuff. Technically, yes, it makes sense. It could help grow my following on X, which at the moment is below 2,000 followers. It's very small. It barely seems worth dealing with. But yeah, but I have to think of this as a business, and at the moment, I don't think it makes sense. I think if they I've said this before, if they do more with video, if X becomes a genuinely interesting and rewarding platform for video, 100% we would give it a go and put more time into it. But at the moment, I'm not convinced, I'm afraid. But I still enjoy using it, to be fair. John, how much contact do manufacturers make towards you after you review products, as opposed to you inquiring to them? That's a really good question. Very apt as well. Very, very timely, John, because last week, I think it was, we published a review of the Sennheiser. Let me get this name right. The Sennheiser True. That's such ridiculous names. True Wireless, True Momentum Wireless. Their latest. Genuinely can't remember the name. Their latest earbuds, which are really good, by the way. They sent out those for review. Wasn't sponsored. They were sent out to review, and we did the review, published it, and then I spotted as I was going through the comments during one of my comments days. I don't spend a whole day on comments, by the way, but I now have 2 days when I check comments, because I don't have YouTube Studio anywhere. It's gone. But when I was going through it, I spotted that Sennheiser had left a comment, a public comment on that video saying, thanks for the review, thanks for the feedback, happy smiley face, whatever. I've never seen that before from a brand. I've never seen a brand comment on and say, we've had brands comment on videos just to say, just to blow their own trumpet, really, to say, yeah, these are great, aren't they, whatever. But this specifically said, thanks for the feedback, because there were a few things about those earbuds that I thought needed improving. And that was the first time ever. So coming back to your question, John, it's quite rare, actually. You do have to be quite proactive in going back to them. I think what happens with a lot of these brands, they have a budget, they have a campaign, and they rack up a bunch of news outlets and reviewers who they want to bring into that campaign. They send out the products, they do all the embargo stuff. All of those reviews go out, and then they just move on. And I'm sure they have R&D teams that take those videos and those written reviews and get as much information from them as they can, including the comments, just to get an idea of what the market thinks. But they very rarely come back to the original reviewer and say, how was it? Because I guess we've kind of explained it, haven't we? We've shown what we think. But in terms of content, not much until the next thing comes along that they want us to review. So it's different with sponsors. So a sponsor that gets involved on the channel, again, unbelievably, not many of them are that proactive when it comes to seeking performance stats from your side after you've published the video. So how many clicks have you generated for them? How many leads have you sent through to their website? We have to be quite proactive with that, and we could be better with that, to be honest. That's something we want to improve on this year. But again, it's not something that happens that regularly, which I find strange. But that's one of those things, I guess. Right. Travis, why not just upload your YouTube videos as they are to Twitter and Instagram? I imagine it won't dilute your YouTube views unless you gain huge followers there. Will be minimal effort. So Instagram, we do that, but we do it more strategically than that. So we chop up certain sections of long form videos and reframe them and turn them into shorts. Sorry, not shorts, reels. We do the same thing for TikTok as well. And we do it strategically because we work very well. I don't do this, Niall does this, works very hard on which sections to take and then what to give, what caption to use, and how best to take that long form video and make very engaging reels and things out of it, which can draw in a big audience on those different platforms. So we do that on Instagram. We don't do it on Twitter, or X rather, just because I don't see the point in doing it at the moment. I don't think anything would happen. We've occasionally we've uploaded little clips of things, but they don't really do anything. And although it's minimal effort, it is effort, and that adds up. And we'd have to add the upload to Twitter into the production process, which off the top of my head would also require the video to be minimized. So we'd have to reduce the file size of the video. We may have to fiddle around with the framing and stuff. It becomes a bigger job than you think, actually, and I just don't think we'd get anything back for it, apart from a few extra views, which I think if you asked most creators, most YouTube creators about this topic, they'd say the same thing, which is there's no real reason to do that on X at the moment. It's not giving us the reason to do it. It's a shame because it should be doing it, but to invest my team's time in it, no matter how small, it has to make sense. I'm a new graduate. Congratulations, you've been on before. I recognise your name. That's great news. So you always watch my videos on the train on my way to work. I always find that weird that people watch I still find it weird that people watch my videos, believe it or not, particularly in public. And anyway, lovely to hear though. And you upload your gadget reviews videos after work, inspired by. Wow, I mean that's amazing. I don't know what to say about that. It's just It's amazing. I'm happy that I'm playing a tiny role in your content creation journey, and that's the way to do it. And I wrote about this on Substack this morning. This is a completely different topic, but I talked about or wrote about rather, the whole. What's the best way to put this without incriminating anyone? This whole thing that's kind of rumbling around beneath the surface in YouTube land at the moment about purchased views and subscribers and things, and as I talked about on Substack this morning, that you can do this in a way that isn't illegal, obviously, but isn't violating YouTube's terms and conditions, and inherently there's nothing wrong with it. If that's your strategy to shortcut things and get big numbers by paying money for something, that's your decision. It's not my decision, but that's yours. What you're describing here is the hard work that it takes to grow organically, and that means if you've got a day job, you have to fit everything out. You have to fit your content creation around your day job. So you're getting on the train in the morning, you're watching other creators that you're inspired by, and then you're getting home after work and uploading your video and putting all that. When most people finish work and then grab a beer or go and spend time with their family or whatever, just chill out, you're back there and you're putting the hours in with your content creation. I did that for years, before this job as well. The stuff that I did in my previous job, I did the same thing. Hard work is what. There's always a shortcut, but I can tell you're putting really hard work in here. And what you might find is that the numbers arrive quite slowly to begin with, but then they'll start to pick up as long as you're consistent, as long as you keep at it and you keep that hard work mentality without burning yourself out, obviously. You will start to see progress, but it never really gets any easier. You don't hit a precipice where it's like, oh wow, that's the hard work. If you climb a mountain, the hard work's done. Then no, it's not, because you've got to go down again, and sometimes that's harder. It's not exactly the same, but it's a similar in principle as content creation. So that's a lovely thing to read. Congratulations on your graduation, and thanks for watching the videos, and best of luck with your own videos. Remember, if any of you guys mention your own videos on this on these live streams, just put the link to your channel in the chat, and people can go and check them out. Phil, you were wondering if you multi-stream this feed to other platforms. I wonder if you were typing something else there, Phil, and you pressed enter by mistake. I don't know. No, technically we could live stream it to Twitch and where else? Other platforms, obviously, but we don't. And again, I don't think I need to at the moment, really. I think this brand isn't big enough really to kind of, again, put too much time investment into sending it out elsewhere. I think YouTube is a big enough pool of people to kind of work on bringing into this brand. So one day maybe. To be fair, it's quite easy to do that with StreamYard. Right, guys, have I missed any questions here? David, what are you saying here? Stephen Arcovia wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's on my list to read, actually. Number 2 was to build a business with the ultimate aim of selling it. Number 2 was build a business with the ultimate aim of selling it. I'm making sure I've read that right. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah, I don't have the ultimate aim of selling this. That may change one day. I might get to my 50th birthday and think, how far away is that now? It's far enough away. I'm in my 40s. I'm 40. What am I? How old am I? What year is it? I'm at that age now where you have to work out your age based on the year, and mine's quite easy to work out. So if it's 2024, I'm 43 now. So I'm 44 this year in October. But yeah, I might reach my 50th birthday and think, maybe I do need to work towards selling this. I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. I love it too much, and I can't think what I'd want to do afterwards, really. And also, this kind of business is a tricky one to package up and sell in that respect, because it kind of needs me. And I know I could technically still be part of it after a sale, but that's not really what we're aiming for. We've got some very, very big plans for this business, which we're working on at the moment, which is really exciting. But we're taking our time with it, because you have to. You need to walk before you run and all that stuff. But I do genuinely have some big plans, which are going to take quite a few years to put into place and hopefully make successful. So, but yeah, I understand why people build businesses to sell. Makes perfect sense. Alternatively, you could will your business to Harrison. Yeah, Harrison being my son. He doesn't know this yet because he's less than 2 years old. He's two next month. But yeah, I'd love him to get involved in this business. He can do whatever he likes, obviously. But if he shows an interest in this, I'd love to bring him in some way. I love the idea of that. But it's his life. He can do whatever he wants with it. I think here we go. LeadX. Some new names coming in here, I think. Welcome on board if you haven't been on before, if you haven't asked a question before. You notice that I'm still wearing the Whoop. Have your thoughts changed on it since your review? That's a really good question. I've not talked about it publicly at all because the whole point of getting this again, I bought this at the start of the year on one of, Whoop had like a Christmas promotion thing or New Year promotion. So I thought, let's just take advantage of that because it was quite a big saving, and wear it for an entire year and just see if I can expand my thoughts on it. Is it something that I could potentially wear for a long time? I'm not going to reveal my thoughts on it yet because I want to save them. And that's annoying for later this year. But all I will say about it is that I need to get my head around is, depending on how effective this is with the things that I'm working on with it, one of which is sleep and the other one is training readiness, is it a device that, is it basically too good at what it does to be effectively something that you'll wear for the rest of your life? Because will you get to the point where you just, it's taught you so much and it's changed your the way that you approach your life so comprehensively that you don't need it anymore? That fascinates me. I don't have the answer to that. I don't think I'll have the answer to that until later this year. So I will definitely update you guys on that. Phil, true, the vertical format seems to be the easy way to build up an audience. Sorry, I was feeding the alpacas before. Brilliant. You've got alpacas. That's made my day. What an awesome thing to have. That's thrown me. No one's ever told me that they'd been distracted by feeding their alpacas. Hope they're okay. Hope they had a lovely lunch or dinner, whatever it is they're eating. What on earth am I talking about now? Vertical format, easy way to build an audience. It is and it isn't. So just very quickly on that. TikTok, in my experience, is relatively easy. Is a very you have to be careful with them. I have to be careful how easily I throw around that term, because nothing's easy in this game. But if you can compare building an audience on YouTube with full-length videos to building an audience on TikTok, the latter is very easy, because I think we've got 24,000 followers, I think now, 23,500, and it doesn't feel like it's been much of an effort to get that. It's just been repurposing stuff, chucking it onto that platform, and some of it has just blown up, like unbelievably so. Instagram is different. Instagram is a very hard beast to tame, and that is something that we're actively looking into at the moment. So we've had some very big success on Instagram with video views and consistent video views, and then we've had some very disappointing consistency that hasn't really worked. And we can't work out what's working and what isn't, and why the stuff that is working, if that makes sense, and vice versa. And that is something where I will be investing in. So the likelihood is that we'll get someone in to kind of work with this, because for the right person, we've got a wealth of data here. In terms of the Instagram account, there's so much data and stats and stuff in the historical stuff in there that demonstrates that sometimes we know exactly what we're doing. And if we can harness whatever that thing is, we don't know what it is, but there's something that we get right relatively regularly that brings in new subs or new followers. If we have someone who gets that and can tell us what to do, happy days. So it's kind of easy, but it's kind of not easy. That's the best way to put it. James, as a creator, are you able to see stats about whether people view your content on TV, phones, laptops and tablets? Yes. Well, it depends what platform. I think most platforms give you this, but YouTube definitely does. So YouTube, if you go into the advanced reporting or analytics section, yeah, you can go right down to that level, and we probably don't spend enough time on that. Really, we should do, but you can see the breakdown of what device people are using to watch your stuff. And I can't remember who it was that said this, but there was a report, I think from YouTube themselves, actually, possibly. Don't quote me on that. Recently, that said they're seeing quite a big uptick in the number of people who are watching YouTube traditionally. So they're watching it on their TV. I tend to do this. I tend to watch YouTube on the big screen because I don't know. It just feels more. If I'm at home in the evening, that's what I do. I'm from that generation, but apparently more people are doing that, which is really encouraging because to me that means that if people are sitting down with the intent, sitting down in their living room and putting their TV on with the intent to watch YouTube, they're probably doing it for longer sessions, which means in theory longer form YouTube videos, 8-10 minutes. I can't believe 8 or 10 minutes is considered long form, but it is. In theory, that means they're probably going to watch more of those videos if they're good enough to watch. So I like that. That excites me. But yeah, you can do that. And like I said, I think on most platforms, you can go down to that detail. Travis, I feel like my Garmin watch performs a placebo effect on me. I feel strong and full of energy. It tells me my body battery is low, and then I start to feel tired. So I try not to overanalyze. It's such a good point. I mean, all of these things. What's interesting actually is that all three of these things that I'm wearing monitor pretty much the same stuff, and they all give me a sleep score and a recovery score and all that sort of stuff. They're all different, but there's always a margin of difference between all of them, which. That doesn't make sense, does it? Which one do you believe? Sometimes it's quite big as well. So that make of that what you will. But yeah, there's definitely a placebo effect, I think, with these. You have to be very careful with that. So yeah, try not to overanalyze, I think, is definitely the way to go with that. Is there a correlation between time watched of a video and the device viewed on? I guess that I guess that kind of goes back to what I was saying a moment ago. And also the fact that we don't do this enough. We don't look into this enough, I don't think. So, Niall, if you're watching this, I think we need to jump on that. My guess is that there probably is, but then maybe not. My generation, we watch TV. Younger generations don't really. They just use their phones, don't they? They watch everything on this. So maybe it's not as skewed towards bigger screens as we think. Who knows? I have just answered that question, James, he said, but happy for you to ask it again. Alan says, over Christmas you started watching YouTube on TV. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I love the idea that people are watching YouTube on TV. It gives me hope that short form is the sort of stuff that you do just dig into while you've got a couple of minutes idling around doing nothing, as opposed to sitting down and having a watching session, actually sitting there with the intent to watch content. I want people to do that because I want people to sit down and watch my videos with that same intent, because if they do that, and again, it's on me to get the video right, but if I get the video right and it's engaging and the story is told well, then in theory, they'll watch it for longer, and that is gold dust. It's what we want. Guys, we are getting towards the end now. I've got a call in 10 minutes, which I've got to jump on, so I will have to shoot off. Again, apologies that I won't apologise, because from the looks of it, the fact that this hasn't happened on the time that I said it would happen every 2 weeks doesn't seem to have made a difference whatsoever. In fact, there's more people on here than ever, so that's great. You watch loads of my videos on the telly. Mercurial me, thank you. That's lovely to hear. Very bizarre to think someone's sitting there in their living room watching me. I know that sounds weird. I've been doing this for 4 years now, but I still can't believe people actually watch my videos. But people do, apparently. So, guys, I'm going to switch off now I'm going to log off now simply because I've got a call in under 10 minutes. Hang on, let's have one other thing here from Aaron. Hi, Aaron. We have a conference coming up and we have a commitment to do some content. Do you have any recommendations for a rig that can be wheeled around with a camera? Thinking a rig with a gimbal, would it work? So you're at a conference, you've got to do some content. Something that can be wheeled around. What would be the best for that? You need to keep it simple. I mean, a gimbal would work. The only problem with a gimbal is that the battery's going to run out at some point and you have to balance it. Gimbals are a real faff. I hate gimbals, you can probably tell. I've got one, it's over there somewhere, but I've used it sparingly because it's so irritating. So they look great, but they do run out of battery at some point. So I think if this is like an all-day thing, I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't use anything involving batteries. I would just get a decent tripod, and this is a bit of a cop-out maybe. You can't wheel a tripod around unless it's got wheels on it, but tripods are I've done a lot of this in my time. Tripods are very easy just to quickly fold up and put over your shoulder and carry along to the next filming location. If you've got that with a camera on the top, and if the camera's got a decent shotgun mic on the top of it, that's your filming setup. That's your mobile rig. There's a reason that you don't see like the proper professional, camera guys who are doing TV and news stuff. They all have those kind of tripods. They don't have wheeled stuff just because, well, they know what they're doing, and clearly it's not a problem. So I know why you're thinking that. It makes sense, but I would just get a decent tripod. If you've got the money for it, get yourself a carbon fibre tripod. That makes all the difference because it's so much lighter, so much easier to carry around. It's it's not unwieldy. It's not uncomfortable to carry around. I can never say that word. Keep it really simple. Right, the Mantis Pod, says Rob. Hi, Rob. The Mantis Pod's brilliant. It's probably a little bit small, possibly, because it's only about that tall. But again, it depends what sort of content you're filming. Anyway, guys, I've got to shoot because I've got a call in a few minutes. Thank you for coming on to this live stream. Really appreciate it. If you haven't given anything on this channel a like or subscribe yet, please do. It really helps. Gives us the motivation we need to keep ploughing on with it, because we're loving this channel and we can see some real promise with it. Anyway, happy Friday, enjoy your weekend, and I won't see you next week, obviously, because, well, there's stuff happening next week. Will I see you the week after that? I'll see you at some point. It won't be long, I promise. Cheers, guys. Thank you.